Hey, I'm Nicolette Amarillas. I'm an exercise coach and a posture and movement specialist. Today we're going over a chest and tricep exercise that mimics the dip. So sometimes at the gym you see those dip bars and people are pressing up and down using the dip bars. That is a really, really hard movement. And if you're someone like me who utilizes tonal, you don't have dip bars at home. So having some type of variation that works that same movement pattern can be really helpful for strengthening those same muscle groups. Let's dive in. I love being able to use tonal in ways that you wouldn't think of or in ways that mimic gym equipment, because there's a lot of me that misses the gym sometimes. A leg press, I mean, come on. So today doing the press down is actually pretty exciting for me and I'm excited to show it to you. So what you'll need is your handles. If you're using a regular cable machine, it'll be the same exact setup. Now, sometimes a regular cable machine only has one arm. If that's the case, all the cues are the same and you would just do one arm at a time. I prefer both because it just means you can push more weight, it's a little bit more efficient, and with an exercise like this, I just prefer being able to push as much load as possible. My tonal arms are parallel to one another, that way they're a little closer to shoulder distance but not too narrow. I'm going to show you a couple of repetitions as I go over form and technique, and then if you want to join me, you're welcome to. I'll then load weight on so that you can just see the difference between loaded and unloaded. All right, let's get into it. Now with this movement, you can do a split stance, okay? You can also do a paralleled stance. For me, it kind of depends on the weight. Once the weight gets really heavy, I have to have a split stance. If it's a little bit lighter load, maybe I'm doing more repetitions, I find that I can do a bilateral stance. So whatever is more comfortable for you. First thing you want to make sure of is that the cable is vertical with the floor. So making sure the cable's not ahead of or behind the end of the tonal arm. So set yourself up in a place where when you bring your arm up and back, it's about vertical. Feet are hip distance, toes are forward if you're parallel. If you're in a split stance, that back foot just slightly turned out, both heels pressed into the floor, nice, strong, athletic stance, okay? From here, you're gonna bring the elbows back and up. So the elbows are pointing straight back toward tonal or toward your cable machine. And the range of motion, so how high you go, really depends on every person, your mobility, your strength, your ability to just do it comfortably. All I can say is make sure to move in a range of motion that feels comfortable for you. It does not matter how high you go as long as it's comfortable, okay? So for me, I can come up pretty high, and what I'm watching for is the point in which my torso, my spine, and my shoulders want to really flex forward. I'm going to try and avoid that because then I get into my upper traps and my neck and it's just not comfortable. But the goal is to try and get as much elbow flexion as possible and shoulder stretch, because the more range you have, the more work you're going to get. So it's a fine line. You want to really test yourself with range, but you also want to make sure to work in a range of motion that's comfortable and safe. Now, my hips are tucked in, my knees are soft, and you'll notice I'm a little bit forward, right? I'm not in full flexion here, but I am just barely kind of engaging my core and drawing in here so that I can be super stable and super strong as I turn the weight on. So the movement itself, elbows come back, they stay in. Try not to let the elbows flare out. That's gonna be hard. If your elbows flare out, it's usually a lack of mobility in your shoulder. I would recommend joining one of my shoulder mobility and back mobility, neck mobility classes. Elbows draw in, hands come up as high as we can, keeping them under the elbow and maybe slightly ahead of, so maybe toward the armpit just a little bit, toward the chest. And then you'll use your triceps, chest to press down. Now turn the weight on when the arms are straight. You don't want to turn the weight on when the arms are up because that's when your shoulder is most vulnerable and you don't want to load the weight then. So arms are straight, turn the weight on, engage the core, elbows come back and up, finding that range that's comfortable, and press down. It's definitely about finding that moment when you feel a stretch in the shoulders and you're like, that's high. I really feel that, because we do want to get to that point in order to really work the muscle fully. So it is a balance between finding that end range and not going past it, right? That comfortable, safe end range, not going past it, but still challenging yourself with a little stretch. I'll do 2 more. And here's one with my split stance. Triceps, chest, really working. So with this movement, if you're using tonal, just keep in mind the weight is gonna be pretty light. I did 16. I definitely could have done more weight. I could have done quite a few more reps, so I wasn't at my max at all, but I would just start with 10, 15, 20, 25. Start moderate, see how it feels, and then go up from there. I really hope you liked that one. This is one of my favorite exercises to mimic the dip, and to be able to do it on a cable machine or on tonal, to me is so exciting because it is a really big movement and an important one for strengthening the shoulders, the chest, and the triceps. If you have any questions at all about the movement, or if you try it and you have questions after, please feel free to comment below. I'm here to help. I'm Nicolette Amarillas, and I'll see you soon.